What's up, guys? So, after kind of a lengthy hiatus, I am back. Uh, I'm kind of better. I just got out of a root canal this morning, and now that my face is no longer numb, I can film a video. So, if that shows you how long I don't want to fuck around, like I literally just now got an opportunity to do this. So, anyway, here I am, and I have been given the opportunity to do a review for the new album Illusive Golden Age by Augury. So that's what I'm going to do today. I've had a chance to listen to this album probably 4 or 5 times at this point, and my initial impressions from it are actually more positive than I even expected it to be. I've listened to this band since like the very first album, and I've been a pretty big fan just for the kind of themes in the music as well as the musicianship in it. Overall, the band kind of stands out because they do have an exceptional bass player with Forrest. But there's a lot more going on than just the bass playing, like once you really start to check stuff out. Um, so yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the back catalog, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Now, of course, my vinyl is not here yet because it's not out yet. I got a copy ordered, it's coming. But anyway, to talk about the album, my initial impressions on this album, um, it's actually surprisingly more accessible than I expected it to be. It's not that they're not accessible, but um, they tend to be technical and not quite as catchy as some of the other stuff I listen to, not quite as simple as some of the stuff I also listen to. And it's not that that's a bad thing, but this one, interestingly, somehow is able to juggle both being an extremely technical album, but while being very catchy and actually, in a lot of places, very melodic. And something that I'm thinking that a lot of people are going to grasp, because this album is their first since being signed to Artisan Era. I think a lot of people will actually notice, not only the guy, Pat, that does the guitar, also does the vocals on this album, is actually that he does a really fucking good job of the vocals. Um, I find that people who are fans of stuff like Cattle Decapitation, who like that particular style of fry scream, should notice that in this. And it's interesting because, there's a lot of guitar players that do vocals, but not a lot of exceptional guitar players who do exceptional vocals, particularly in fry screams. It's not an easy type of vocal style to master. It's not the same as a regular scream because it is a melodic scream where the melodic singing is mixed into the scream itself to achieve a specific tone. Vocalists out there who are familiar with the technique know what I'm talking about, but it needs to be noted on this. Like the fry screaming is really good in it, which is not easy. And not only can the guy shred really good, but he can do really good fry screams, and just overall vocals are really good in it. Um, that said, as well, I got to talk to Pat briefly this morning, and I say talk in quotations because my fucking face was still numb, but I was able to talk to him on Facebook through Messenger and just kind of talk about the album. And as I suspected, he actually had been sitting on a lot of this material for a while. Um, so there is some kind of newer stuff in there, but there was a pretty big hiatus between the last album, which is around when I saw him live. Like years ago. I don't know how long it's been. It feels like it's been probably 10 years. It may have been, maybe more. I don't know. But it's been a while. And I suspected that they were sitting on some material. They were just kind of waiting for an opportunity to put it out, as they have now. And there is some newer stuff in there. But yeah, it's really interesting to see what they've done, because I've been, I knew that he had been working on writing material for a while. I just hadn't heard anything of it, so I was just kind of curious to see the direction that he went in it. And it is a really interesting direction. So, well, actually, the interesting thing about this album as well that is to note is that there's a little something for everybody in it. So the old fans of Augury should find a lot that they are going to enjoy in this. The newer fans who haven't heard them because they just haven't been exposed to them are going to have a lot to enjoy. People who like extremely technical stuff are going to have a lot to enjoy. But people who may not appreciate the technical stuff, but just like a well-written song, they're going to find something to enjoy in this as well. As far as the overall like song structure or the song meanings and stuff, I talked to Pat about, because I don't have the lyric booklet. Obviously, it's not here yet. Elusive Golden Age is specifically referring to kind of something that is an ideal that's set upon by empires, because it's something that he has talked about a lot on social media, and I have as well, which is the inevitable rise and fall of empires. Going beyond this music review into just kind of studying why people are what they are and the way they do is, empires do tend to rise and fall. And if you do enough reading in history books, you'll tend to notice the same symptoms over and over again. And I've said time and time again, I feel like our civilization is very much a neo-Rome and we are in the steps of decline. And that is all the commentary that's going on in this album in particular. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to note that that kind of stuff is going on in the album as it is in our life right now. So it's very topically relevant in what's going on these days. But Illusive Golden Age specifically is referring to how like our societies have these kind of ideals of what they want to become, yet they always kind of fall to the same decadence to where, people are abused and mistreated and empires are mismanaged, which, they do tend to crumble as Rome itself did, where they spread out their military too much and they were able to be defeated quite easily by a much smaller, more inferior military through, like, I think it was the Visigoths, were the ones I can think of offhand that sacked Rome. I'm probably wrong on that, watch me. But anyway, we're seeing a mirror situation now, and that's kind of what the album is commenting on. Beyond the album's themes, just the overall general playing is excellent, as you would expect. You're not going to find a lot of really simple playing anywhere in the album, whether it be like the drumming or the guitar or the bass. It's all very complex, and there's a nice kind of places where the album can breathe as well. Like, it's not all super fast and heavy. There are some kind of light places where the album's allowed to breathe, and it's kind of like more of a chill kind of a jazz playing. On one song in particular, I can't think of the name of it because this is all very fresh to me. I've had it for maybe 24 hours. But there is some kind of breathing room, which, I really feel like music in general needs to kind of have its rises and falls. It lets the album breathe and kind of flow in a cohesive manner. So, I'm not really like a review guy per se. But I guess what I really intend to do here is explain it. I mean, I'm definitely a fan of this album, and I think a lot of people are. I will be shocked to find very many people disappointed in the direction that they're taking and what they've put out in this album. I think they're going to get a lot of really, and a lot of new fans, especially signing to a label such as Artisan Era, which has done such a good job taking care of its bands since its inception. I'm really impressed to see what all the alumni from Artisan Era have done in the last couple of years. It's just been awesome. They do such a great job with like the merchandise, which that's another thing I will be definitely showing off vinyl when it comes in a separate video, because like all of the Artisan Era stuff that I've seen coming out lately, like the colors of the vinyl and stuff are absolutely gorgeous. Like the presentation is just absolutely top notch, which is definitely commendable for an indie label, if you will. But anyway, yeah, in a nutshell, yeah, this album fucking rocks. I think a lot of you out there are really going to like it. So that's it.